Hi and welcome to BestMyTest. In today's video, we are going to talk about different question styles you are likely to encounter in TOEFL Speaking Task 2. Generally speaking, we can categorize Speaking Task 2 questions into 5 different styles. We categorize them as follows: agree or disagree, preference, if imaginary, description or explanation, and advantage and disadvantage. Regardless of which of these styles you encounter, the timing format is the same for all of them. You'll get 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak. So let's talk about each different question style one by one. The first question style is agree or disagree. These questions will give you a certain statement and ask whether you agree or disagree with it. You'll also have to provide specific reasons and examples to support your position. Here are some examples. Do you agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school? Do you agree or disagree that a celebrity should set a good example for young people? Do you agree or disagree that a higher education means a better career? To answer these questions, you can use the following expressions to begin your response. I agree or disagree that. I agree or disagree to the idea that. I agree or disagree with something. Some people believe that, but I disagree. For example, I agree that students should bring their cell phones to school. I agree to the idea that students should bring their cell phones to school. I agree with students bringing their cell phones to school. Some people believe that students should bring their cell phones to school, but I disagree. The second question style is preference. A preference question will give you a choice between two options and ask which option you prefer. You'll need to provide specific reasons and examples to explain why you prefer that option. Here are the examples. Do you prefer finding information by reading books or searching the internet? Do you prefer to eat at home or at restaurants? Would you prefer to have a higher paying job with longer hours or a lower paying job with shorter hours? Do you prefer to work in a team or work alone? To answer these questions, you can use the following expressions to begin your response. I prefer to do something. To me, something is far preferable to something else. I prefer this to or over that. Or I would rather do this than do that. So let's look at some examples here. I prefer to find information by reading books. To me, eating at restaurants is far preferable to eating at home. I prefer having a higher paying job with longer hours to having a lower paying job with shorter hours. I would rather work in a team than work alone. Here in the third sentence, many students use then instead of to. This is wrong. You have to remember the pattern. To prefer something to something else. Sometimes you can hear prefer something over or even above something else as well, but never then. Okay, moving along to our next question type, the if imaginary question. An if imaginary question will give you a hypothetical, an imagined situation, and ask what you would do or what you would choose. Rather than choosing between two things or two opinions, you are typically not limited in your choice. That is, you can choose anything that fits the situation. Here's an example. If you had a small amount of money, would you spend it right away or save it? When you write your response to an if imaginary question, remember that you should use the conditional sentence type to. So you can start your response like the following. If I had a small amount of money, I would choose to save it for a number of reasons. The conditional sentence type 2 is used when we want to talk about results of things that are unlikely to happen. The conditional type 2 has two parts. The if clause constitutes the unreal or unlikely situation. The tense in the if clause is the simple past. The main clause contains would, could, might, followed by the verb. The main clause tells us the possible results of the situation. Let's take a look at an example. If we all recycled more, there would be a lot less waste in the world. In this example, the if clause is if we all recycled more. So in the eyes of the speaker, this is a situation that is unlikely to happen. The main clause is there would be a lot less waste in the world. It is an imaginary result of the unlikely situation where we all recycle more. Note that we usually use were instead of was when using pronouns as the subject of the if clause, even if we have I, he, she, and it. So we would say, if I were you, not if I was you, I'd take a holiday. Or, if she were 20, she would travel the world. Okay, the next question is description or explanation. A description or explanation question will ask you to describe a certain type of person, especially the good qualities of a person, or explain something in the world. You might have to choose something to explain, or you might be given something specific to explain. Questions may also ask you to explain why something is beneficial, important, or significant. Or you might have to explain the reasons for or effects of something. Here are some examples. Should using cell phones be permitted while driving? Should new university students all be required to read the same book in summer before they start their first course of study? Do you think bicycles will still be widely used in the future or replaced by other means of transportation? What is an important benefit that an employer can offer to make sure employees are happy and healthy? To answer these questions, you need to first form your opinion on this topic. You can use the following expressions to form your opinion. In my opinion, I strongly or firmly believe that. In my view, as far as I'm concerned, it is my belief that. And here are examples for these expressions. In my opinion, not all university students should be required to read the same book before entering their first year of study. I firmly believe that the use of cell phones should be prohibited while driving. In my view, bicycles will become obsolete due to the emergence of other means of transportation. As far as I'm concerned, the most important benefit that an employer can offer to make sure employees are happy and healthy is a great healthcare package. It is my belief that it should not be a requirement that all college students take at least one philosophy class. Okay, the last style of question is advantage and disadvantage. These questions ask you to give your opinion on a topic and specifically tell you to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the topic. Look at the following examples. Should universities allow students to watch TV in their dormitories? What is your opinion and why? What are the advantages and disadvantages of watching TV in dormitories? Should young children spend a great amount of their time practicing sports? What is your opinion and why? Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this. So this style of question requires you to know various ways of talking about advantages and disadvantages. For this, it is helpful to be familiar with all the different synonyms you can use for advantage and disadvantage. We have a list here for you. Advantages and disadvantages. Upsides and downsides. Benefits and drawbacks. Pros and cons. Positive aspects and negative aspects. So for a sentence like this, living in a small city has advantages and disadvantages. You can say the following. Living in a small city has pros and cons. Living in a small city has upsides and downsides. Living in a small city has benefits and drawbacks. Living in a small city has positive and negative aspects. Alright, now I'm going to give you a template you can use for this style of question. Here's the template. Something has an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage of something is On the other hand, there is a disadvantage too. In conclusion, something has pros and cons, but the advantage outweighs the disadvantage, or the disadvantage outweighs the advantage. Therefore, I think. Now listen to a sample answer to this question.
Allowing students to watch TV in their dormitories has an advantage and disadvantage. The advantage of students watching TV in their dormitories is that TV can help them escape from stress and relax. This more or less will help their grades and their lifestyles. On the other hand, there is a disadvantage to watching TV in their dormitories for students. TV can be extremely distracting. Some students will have a hard time concentrating on their studies while watching TV. Other students might be affected by the noise of TV while studying. In conclusion, watching TV in dormitories has pros and cons, but the disadvantage outweighs the advantage. Therefore, I believe schools should not allow students to watch TV in their dormitories.
I hope this video was helpful to you. If you want to practice more Speaking Task 2 questions, you can always check out our website bestmytest.com. As usual, if you have more questions, please leave your questions in the comment section below. And don't forget to like our video. And, of course, share it with your friends. This is Joe from bestmytest.com, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.